At midnight, the steering wheel is cold under his hands, and snow keeps folding itself over the empty suburb. The danger is not dramatic. It is the quiet thought that says, just go a little faster, nobody will know. Most people think discipline fails in loud moments, under pressure, in front of a crowd. But sometimes it fails on an empty road, when you are tired enough to bargain with your own standards. No supervisor is watching. No camera is aimed at his face. There is only the rhythmic hum of the engine, the pale glow of streetlights, and one last passenger sitting behind him, trusting a stranger to get them home. The driver's eyes burn. His back aches from the long shift. His mind is already in his kitchen, his coat hung by the door, his boots drying near the heat. And that is where the oath begins to shake. What is honor worth when the only witness is your exhaustion? This is a story about the kind of duty that does not announce itself. Samurai discipline will not make the road easier. It teaches a man how to keep both hands steady when the shortcut starts whispering his name. The bus driver does not look like a man at war with himself. He looks ordinary. Dark jacket. Tired shoulders. One gloved hand resting high on the steering wheel, the other near the console. A paper coffee cup sits in the holder, long gone cold. The windshield wipers drag snow from one side to the other with the slow irritation of an old habit. Out beyond the glass, the city suburb has emptied itself. Storefronts are black. Driveways are buried. The Christmas lights on a few houses keep blinking as if somebody forgot to turn them off. Behind him, halfway down the aisle, the last passenger sits with a backpack on their lap and their face turned toward the window. That passenger does not know how tired he is. They do not know that his alarm went off before sunrise. They do not know about the driver who called out sick, the route changes, the angry man at the transfer stop, the kid who almost slipped stepping off near the pharmacy, the woman who asked 3 times if this bus still went near Maple Street. They do not know that his daughter texted him a photo of dinner hours ago, and he still has not answered because answering would have made home feel too far away. They only know the bus came. And now they are trusting it. That is the weight of professional Geary. It is not romantic. It does not arrive with applause. It is not a speech about sacrifice. It is a person doing the job cleanly when the body wants to be done with the job. The road ahead is almost empty. Snow collects in the tire tracks, softening the lanes until the street looks less like pavement and more like a suggestion. The engine hums beneath him in a steady rhythm, a low vibration through the floorboards, through the seat, through the bones of his tired hands. It is the kind of sound that can become a lullaby if a man lets his guard drop. He tightens his fingers around the steering wheel. The wheel is the first witness. It has felt every version of him tonight. The early patience. The mid-shift irritation. The small pride of keeping schedule through bad weather. The quiet resentment when dispatch told him he had one more loop. And now, at midnight, it feels the part of him that wants to shave 5 minutes off the route. 5 minutes does not sound like much. That is how standards begin to loosen. They do not usually collapse all at once. They soften in reasonable language. You deserve to get home. The roads are empty. You know this route. You have driven worse than this. Nobody will complain. The passenger probably wants to get there faster too. The mind is very good at dressing exhaustion up as logic. He passes a dark intersection where the traffic light changes from green to yellow. On a dry afternoon, he would make it without thinking. Tonight, with the snow coming in sideways and the tires carrying 20,000 pounds of metal and human trust, yellow means something else. His foot hovers. For half a second, the whole shift seems to lean into that pedal. His kitchen is waiting. The back door will be stuck from the ice. His boots will leave gray slush on the mat. Maybe his wife has already gone to bed. Maybe the house will be dark except for the microwave clock. Maybe he will eat standing up because sitting down will make him realize how much his legs hurt. The light turns red. He brakes. Not hard. Not dramatic. Just early enough. The bus sighs to a stop at the line. Behind him, the last passenger barely moves. A small shift of the backpack. A glance up. Then back to the window. Nobody praises him for stopping. Nobody knows he almost did not. And that is where the confrontation really lies. Not in the weather. Not in the schedule. Not even in the empty road. It lives in the space between what he could get away with and what he has sworn, without ceremony, to do. A weaker man inside him wants to call this whole thing unfair. He wants to say he has given enough for one day. He wants to use his fatigue as a receipt, proof that the world owes him a shortcut. There is a familiar bitterness in that thought. Every working person knows it. The feeling that responsibility keeps taking from you quietly, while nobody stops to notice the cost. But the bus does not care about his resentment. The snow does not care. The passenger behind him cannot feel the argument happening in his chest. So the argument has to be settled where no one can see it. Professional honor is often mistaken for performance. People think it means being impressive at work, looking polished, saying the right thing when the manager walks by. But a job is not only what you do when someone checks. A job is also what you refuse to corrupt when the checking stops. For this driver, the uniform is not the deepest part of the role. The route number is not the deepest part. Even the schedule is not the deepest part. The deepest part is the invisible agreement between him and anyone who steps through those folding doors. While you are on this bus, I will not treat your safety as an inconvenience. That agreement does not become smaller because it is midnight. It does not become smaller because snow is stacking on the windshield. It does not become smaller because his eyes sting and his patience is thin and his own bed feels like the only mercy left in the world. The steering wheel sits under his palms like a simple object, but tonight it holds the entire question. Will he use his skill to serve the passenger, or will he use it to excuse himself? Will his experience make him careful, or arrogant? Will fatigue become information, or will fatigue become permission? The engine hum continues. It is almost too steady. Too familiar. A man can disappear into that sound. He can stop noticing the weight of his hands. He can stop reading the road and start imagining the end of the shift. He can let habit drive while his mind goes home ahead of him. That is the danger of exhaustion. It does not always make you wild. Sometimes it makes you casual. It makes you treat serious things as if they are routine. It makes you forget that the passenger in the back is not cargo. They are a life moving through the dark, dependent on the discipline of a stranger. At the next stop, no one is waiting. The curb is buried. The bench wears a white cap of snow. A bus shelter advertisement flickers weakly, showing half a face, half a slogan, selling something nobody needs at this hour. He opens the doors anyway, because the route says stop and the passenger might need the rhythm of a normal ride more than anyone understands. Cold air moves through the bus. For a moment, the passenger looks toward the front, maybe wondering why he stopped when nobody was there. The driver checks the mirror. Their eyes do not meet for long. Just a second. It is enough. He closes the doors and pulls away slowly. There is no heroic music in that moment. Only the hydraulic breath of the bus, the low engine note, the tires pressing through new snow. But something in him has been named. He is not just trying to finish. He is carrying someone. That word changes the weight of the night. Carrying. Not transporting. Not completing a route. Not surviving a shift. Carrying. The moment he remembers that, the urge to speed home loses some of its charm. It is still there. He still wants his house, his silence, the heaviness of his own coat coming off his shoulders. Samurai discipline does not erase that. It does not shame the tired man for being tired. It simply refuses to let tiredness sit in the driver's seat. Because the truth of this profession is plain and severe, some people only meet your character for 20 minutes, and they meet it through the way you handle the wheel. The passenger will never know his name. They may never remember his face. By morning, this ride might become nothing more than a small fact in their own story. The bus got me home through the snow. But for him, that small fact is the whole test. The empty suburb keeps sliding past. A closed gas station. A frozen mailbox. A line of parked cars wearing snow like folded sheets. The steering wheel hums beneath his palms, no longer just a tool, no longer just a circle of worn material. It is the boundary between impulse and oath. And every time the road opens up and the tired voice returns, every time it says, just a little faster, he feels the wheel under his hands and remembers what the job is really asking. Not greatness. Not recognition. Just the discipline to keep one human being safe when nobody is around to admire it. Training does not begin when the driver feels rested. It begins while his eyes are still burning, while the steering wheel is cold in his hands, while the road ahead looks empty enough to tempt him. He does not need a speech. He needs a procedure small enough to survive midnight. So he starts with the first thing that wants to betray him, the pedal. At the next long stretch, the avenue opens wider than it should. Snow has softened the lane markers. The houses sit back from the road, dark and sealed, their porch lights buried in white. There are no headlights coming toward him. No brake lights ahead. No one crossing. The whole suburb seems to whisper the same thing as exhaustion has been whispering for the last 10 minutes. Go. Just go. His right foot wants to press. Instead, he lets his heel settle. That is the first cut. Not against the road. Against the impulse. He does not argue with the thought. He does not pretend he is above it. He simply catches it before it becomes movement. In his mind, he names it plainly, I want to rush because I'm tired. That sentence matters. A man loses command faster when he lies to himself with prettier words. He calls impatience efficiency. He calls resentment fairness. He calls danger experience. But when the driver names the truth without decoration, the thought becomes smaller. It stops hiding inside reason. The engine hums under the floor. He uses it. Not as a lullaby now, but as a metronome. He listens to the rhythm and lets his breathing fall into it. One slow inhale through the nose. One longer exhale through the mouth. His shoulders drop half an inch. His jaw loosens. His hands remain on the wheel, not tight enough to fight it, not loose enough to drift. The steering wheel becomes his anchor again. Earlier, it held his irritation. Now it holds his attention. He feels the worn places where other drivers have gripped it for years. He feels the slight vibration of the tires crossing packed snow. He feels the difference between control and tension. Tension makes the body hard. Control makes the body useful. At the mirror, he checks the passenger. Still there. Backpack on their lap. Head tilted toward the window. Maybe awake. Maybe half asleep. Maybe counting the stops. The driver does not know their story, and he does not need to. Duty does not require full biography. It requires clean conduct with the life that has been placed near you. He returns his eyes to the road. The battle shrinks. He is not trying to survive the whole winter. He is not trying to solve the long shift, the low pay, the missed dinner, the ache in his spine, the unfairness of being needed most when he has the least left to give. That is too much weight for one tired mind at midnight. He gives himself one clean task. Hold the lane through this block. Then another. Brake early before the next intersection. Then another. Check the mirror before the turn. Then another. Leave room for the bus to stop if the tires slide. That is how discipline becomes practical. It stops being an idea and becomes a sequence of small refusals. Refuse to rush the yellow light. Refuse to swing wide through the turn. Refuse to let the empty street convince you it has no consequences. Refuse to treat the last passenger like an obstacle between you and home. At the next corner, the bus approaches a stop sign half covered in snow. He has made this turn 1,000 times. His hands know it. His eyes know the mailbox on the right, the cracked curb near the drain, the old maple tree leaning over the sidewalk. Familiarity tries to take over. Familiarity says, you can roll through this. He does not. The bus comes to a full stop. The sound is almost embarrassing in the empty street. Air brakes releasing. Tires settling. Engine holding its low note. A full stop for no one visible, at an hour when even the neighborhood dogs have stopped barking. But that is the point. A ritual that only works when people are watching is not discipline. It is theater. He counts one breath before moving again. Not because the rule needs drama. Because his body needs a mark. A clean line between impulse and action. Stop. Breathe. Look. Move. He does not recite it like a slogan. He lives it through the machine. At the next curve, he eases the wheel before the turn. The bus responds slowly, heavily, honestly. It cannot be bullied through snow. It has to be guided. That fact humbles him. His skill is real, but the road is real too. The weather is real. The weight behind him is real. The passenger's trust is real. Exhaustion hates humility. Exhaustion wants to be excused. It wants to say, I have done enough, so I should be allowed to care less now. But the wheel does not negotiate. It tells the truth immediately. Grip too hard, and the movement gets rough. Drift too far, and the bus answers with weight. Speed up too quickly, and the tires remind him that confidence is not command. So he trains through feedback. He watches how the bus behaves under him. He lets the steering wheel report the road instead of forcing the road to obey his mood. He checks the side mirror, then the front, then the side again. He scans for the hidden things, a trash can near the curb, a patch of black ice under new powder, a car door that might open, a person stepping from behind a parked van. There is no paranoia in it. Only respect. Professional geary is built from respect for consequences. The driver respects the machine, the weather, the route, the unseen pedestrian, the passenger who may never thank him. He respects his own fatigue enough not to let it make decisions without supervision. The bus reaches the final stretch before the passengers stop. He knows this part is dangerous in a different way. When the end comes into view, the mind relaxes too early. People make mistakes near the finish because they already feel finished. They start leaving the moment before the moment is done. He feels that pull. Home appears inside him again. The warm room. The quiet sink. The chair by the door. The relief of not being responsible for anyone else for a few hours. His thumb shifts slightly against the steering wheel. He brings it back. One more block. One more stop. One more human being to deliver safely. The passenger reaches up and pulls the cord. The bell sounds small in the empty bus. He slows before the stop earlier than necessary, because Snow does not care how many times he has done this. He angles the bus close enough to the curb without burying the doors in the drift. He checks the mirror. He waits until the bus is fully still before opening the doors. Cold air steps in. The passenger stands, adjusts the backpack, and walks toward the front. For a second, they pause near the fare box. "Thanks," they say. Nothing more. The driver nods. "Careful out there." The doors open with a tired hydraulic breath. The passenger steps down into the midnight snow and starts toward a row of small houses, shoulders tucked against the cold. The driver keeps the bus still. He watches long enough to make sure they reach the sidewalk. Only then does his hand move. Only then does the steering wheel turn. And in that small delay, unseen by the world, the oath becomes real again. The road does not become easier after the passenger steps off. That would be a lie. The snow is still falling hard enough to blur the streetlights. The curb is still half buried. The bus is still heavy under him, still slow to answer, still full of tired metal and old heat. His shoulders still ache. His eyes still burn in that dry, stubborn way that comes near the end of a shift, when the body has stopped asking politely and started keeping score. Nothing magical has happened. One passenger made it home. That is all. But as the driver pulls away from the stop, something in the bus feels different. Not the machine. The man holding it. His hand rests on the steering wheel with less argument in it. Earlier, the wheel felt like a restraint, like the thing keeping him from the speed he wanted. Now it feels like a vow he can touch. A worn circle under his palms, plain and unromantic, reminding him that the work is not finished just because the hardest temptation has passed. He checks the mirror again. The passenger is a small figure now, moving through the snow toward a porch light. They do not turn back. They do not know that the driver watched long enough to make sure their feet found the sidewalk. They do not know that he slowed when his body wanted speed, stopped when nobody stood at the curb, waited when waiting seemed unnecessary. Good. Some duties are cleaner when they are not turned into stories for other people. The bus continues through the empty suburb. The engine hum is still there, low and steady, but it no longer pulls him toward sleep. It marks the moment. It tells him, gently and without praise, that he is still responsible for the next 10 feet of road. The urge to speed home has not disappeared. It returns at the next open stretch, smaller now but still alive. His mind shows him the kitchen again. The coat hook. The quiet hallway. The late plate in the microwave. He wants it with a tiredness that feels almost personal, as if home has become something the night is withholding from him. He lets the wanting be there. Then he drives the bus correctly. That is the transformation. Not a heroic change of heart. Not a man becoming immune to fatigue. Just a man learning that exhaustion can sit beside him without being allowed to steer. At an intersection, the light turns yellow again. This time, his foot does not hover as long. He begins braking before the debate gets a foothold. The bus slows with a long, controlled sigh. Snow slides down the windshield in uneven sheets. The red light settles over the dashboard, soft and severe. He looks at it and almost laughs under his breath. Not because anything is funny. Because the same little test has come back wearing the same cheap disguise. Empty road. No witnesses. One tired man. One chance to cut a corner and call it harmless. But harmless is not decided by who notices. Harmless is decided by what you were trusted to protect. The light changes. He moves again. There is still a final loop to finish, a depot to reach, paperwork to mark, maybe a thermos to rinse out when he gets back. The night does not care that he made one honorable choice. It keeps asking for the next one. That is what mature discipline teaches without sentiment. Character is not stored in yesterday's decision. It has to be carried into the next turn. The driver rolls past a closed grocery store, its parking lot untouched except for 2 diagonal tire marks. He passes a school with flags pulled tight by the wind. He passes a row of houses where upstairs windows glow blue from televisions left on too late. Somewhere in one of those rooms, somebody is waiting for somebody else to come home safe. Maybe that is all a city is at night. 1,000 invisible promises moving through bad weather. He feels the steering wheel vibrate as the bus crosses a patch of packed snow. His fingers adjust before his thoughts fully arrive. Not panic. Not force. Just correction. Small. Quiet. Immediate. Earlier in the night, that same vibration might have irritated him. Now he reads it. The wheel is no longer an object he grips while fighting the clock. It is how the road speaks back. It tells him where the tires are, where the weight is, where pride could make him careless. He listens. The terminal appears ahead, dim under the snow, almost deserted. A row of parked buses waits like dark animals at rest. The driver slows before the turn, signals out of habit though no car is behind him, and guides the bus into its lane. He lines it up cleanly. Not perfectly. Cleanly. There is a difference. Perfection wants applause. Clean work wants nothing left broken behind it. When he shifts into park, the engine keeps humming for a moment before he shuts it down. The silence after it is enormous. For the first time in hours, he can hear the snow tapping against the glass. He sits there with both hands still on the steering wheel. He could remove them now. The passenger is gone. The route is finished. The oath has no audience left at all. But he stays for one breath. Then another. Not to perform some sacred ritual. To let the night end properly. To teach his tired body that finishing does not mean collapsing out of responsibility. It means closing the duty with the same care that carried it. He writes the time. Checks the cabin. Picks up the cold coffee cup. Looks once down the empty aisle where the last passenger had been sitting. No one will remember this ride the way he will. That is fine. The value of the night was never in being remembered. It was in being trustworthy at the exact moment when being careless would have been easy. He steps down from the bus into the snow. His boots press into the white ground. The air cuts through his jacket. He is still exhausted. He still wants home. He still has to drive himself there. But the worst part of the night did not get to own him. Behind him, the steering wheel sits in the dark bus, cooling slowly, holding no applause, no witness, no proof. Only the shape of what he chose. Honor is not proven by how loudly a man speaks about duty. It is proven by the way he handles the wheel when he is tired, unseen, and almost home. Somewhere tonight, someone is still driving through weather they did not choose. Maybe it is not a bus. Maybe it is your car on the way home from a double shift. Maybe it is your hand on a kitchen counter after everyone else has gone to sleep, deciding whether to keep a promise that has become heavy. Maybe it is one more quiet responsibility nobody will ever post about, thank you for, or fully understand. The battlefield is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is the last mile, the empty road, the tired mind trying to rename carelessness as relief. That is why the steering wheel matters. For the driver, it was never just a tool. At the beginning, it held his fatigue. In the middle, it held his attention. At the end, it held the shape of his oath. It reminded him that a person can be exhausted and still be trustworthy. Tired and still careful. Unseen and still honorable. So today, find the wheel in your own life. The object. The task. The small duty that asks who you are when nobody is grading you. Put your hands on it with respect. Do the next thing cleanly. Do not turn your pain into permission to betray what was trusted to you. And if this speaks to the way you are trying to live, stay close to this channel. A promise does not become smaller because no one is watching you keep it.